Good day to everyone. We are from Group A would like to present our case study on patent infringement and litigation between Apple and Samsung. I am Liewei and now I would like to introduce to all of you about Apple and Samsung. When I'm talking about smartphone, what are the brands will appear in your mind? Definitely will be Apple and Samsung. They have been promoting a lot of outstanding products in the market. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. Apple is a global corporation based in the US and which is the largest technological company. Starting from their very first handmade computer in 1976, Apple I, and until nowadays, iPhones and iPads has become the well-known products in the world. However, Samsung is having a kind of surprisingly history. It was founded in 1938, but not in technological sector. It was a very small business which only focused on fried fish and noodle dishes. Samsung started to join smartphone market in 1960, and it is now the world's leading maker of cell phones, TVs, and memory chips. In 1980s, Apple was one of Samsung's biggest customers by ordering billions of dollars in electronic components from them. Samsung CEO met with Steve Jobs multiple times at the time for advice to negotiate. During the moment, the two firms are really enjoying a good working relationship. Until one day, the first iPhone was shown to the public in 2007 and Samsung released a touchscreen smartphone based on Google's Android in 2009. The rivalry began.
I'm Leonard and I will be continue introducing the rivalry of Apple and Samsung. The rivalry between Apple and Samsung is basically based on patent infringement for quite some time now. As a result, the two companies has been involved in a series of litigations. The utilities and design patents are among the patents that Samsung has been accused of adopting. But at the same time, Samsung also filed many claims against Apple which ranging from commonplace items to features patents. Samsung was accused of infringing of Apple's intellectual properties by producing devices which have identical characteristics of Apple iPhones, which is the Galaxy S2 smartphone. The California court has decided the precise amount of dollars that Samsung owes Apple for infringement of these patents that show in the slide. The disputes between Apple and Samsung have both beneficial and negative consequences for both firms. Samsung's image is seriously harmed in the US market, resulting in customer preference for iPhones over Samsung. But Samsung's reputation got promoted in Asian nations due to the Korea media framing. The legal battles among the two tech companies result in firms concentrating more on strengthening the quality of their patents following the lawsuit process. And that's all from me. Thank you.
The Apple-Samsung proceeding began on 15 April 2011 when Apple first filed an infringement against Samsung for copying the technology and design of Apple, such as the similarities between Samsung Galaxy S as well as the iPhones. In a hope to maintain the relationship, Apple first applied negotiations in hope that Samsung would agree to a license agreement. Yet, Samsung has still introduced a tablet computer which is so much similar with Apple iPad 2 in March 2011 instead of giving any responses to Apple company. So this is a fuse that caused Steve Jobs to reach his breaking point to launch a federal lawsuit against Samsung in the North California District Court through patent litigation.
Good day, Madam Azlin. I'm Young. In this part, we'll discuss about the concerns of Apple and Samsung in solving the conflicts. Throughout the conflict between Apple and Samsung, can be seen that both Apple and Samsung have their own concerns, which results in the litigations of Apple and Samsung on a total of more than 50 lawsuits in 10 countries after the failure of negotiation between two parties, where a business conflict called smartphones patent wars. Apple's concerns was that Samsung would use technologies to rise Android growth and copy its design as a tool to rise its market share. This is because the graphical user interface and exterior designs of Apple's products are visual things and the detailed information about the dimensions can be easily obtained via searching on internet. However, the hardware technologies owned by Samsung are difficult to be copied as it requires a relatively high level of related knowledge and skills to be built. On the other hand, as Apple started to sue Samsung about patent infringements, Samsung's concerns was Apple's actions would jeopardize its image and continuing affect its market share. These are the reasons why Samsung had countersued Apple in many countries about Apple infringing Samsung technology patent, with the purpose of preventing the actions of Apple from posing a bigger threat to Samsung, and at the same time to minimize the damage as much as possible.
I would like to share about the interests of Apple and Samsung in handling the conflict. The first one is by using negotiation. Although Apple and Samsung are competitors, the relationship between the two companies is very interesting. Samsung is the supplier of the Apple. Apple initially negotiated to resolve issue because Apple does not want the conflict to affect their partnership. In 2010, Apple professional settlement team fly to the South America to settle and patent deal with Samsung. Besides that, the main profit of the Apple is come from iPhone, so Apple must defend their patents. If Apple lost their patents, Apple will lose profit. The next interest is through legal settlement. In 2011, Apple assumed that Samsung smartphone and tablet copied their product design. This case was about two brands called concept, even though the two companies share technology parts of their design. In 2000 March, Samsung introduced their tablet computer is almost same as iPad 2. After this press conference, Apple assumed that Samsung has copied their product again, and Samsung has not intention of negotiation. Hence, Apple has since protected its patent through law in 2012. Hence, after the lawsuits, Apple company successfully protect their interest, patent, and market.
The main reason for Apple to choose the patent litigations as a solution is to defend their rights as well as to maintain their reputations. The moment that Samsung introduced their new product, which is so much similar with iPad 2, is the main fuse that caused the patent litigations to be lightened, which can be considered as a win-loss strategy. Proof this, in 2012, it is reported that Apple had won in the 7 years patent war and is awarded more than $290 million in damages. Hence, patent litigations help Apple to protect its own design, ensuring that their rights are protected and no one will simply do the actions of shameless copying of their products in the future.
At one point of time, Jobs said he wanted to start a thermonuclear war, metaphorically, against Samsung. But Tim Cook, the future successor of Steve Jobs, encouraged him to remain patient and remain civil to avoid hurting their relationship with the critical supplier. So Apple began the process of negotiation with Samsung side. Apple preferred a win-win situation, thus they did use the concept of negotiation against Samsung. First concept is the Zone of Possible Agreement, ZOPA. Apple has set a range of negotiation for both parties to come to a common agreement. Then the reservation price. Apple has set the fees of $30 per phone and $40 per tablet. Finally, value creation through trade. If Samsung have accepted the offer, both parties will definitely gain profit from future threats. As negotiation has failed twice, Apple decided to take the issue to court of law. As of 2012, at least 50 lawsuits has been submitted around the globe. However, in one point of time, both parties decided to end all overseas lawsuits except in the United States. Finally, the court ruling for the cases. After numerous trials, retrial and appeal, the court has ruled against Samsung as Apple won $539 million from Samsung. However, market-wise, Samsung has the upper hand as the Android-based phone have higher sales rate than iPhone globally.
What is the important knowledge learned through Apple and Samsung conflict? The importance of negotiation skills is present in every sphere in life, but the skills are particularly important in business world. Negotiation is a complex process that takes time. Although 2010 to August 2014, a bloody patent war transpired between two of the biggest companies in IT and smartphone industry. What began as a way of Apple reclaiming royalties for a copycat activity dragged onto the court and outside the court seasons of mediation in the hope of finding deals to satisfy both parties. However, with potential damage on both companies seem too high and too expensive, this realization prompted the two companies, with the help of a few judges and the threat of penalty from both sides, to sit down and negotiate deals that would be better for both companies. This critical element of the agreement were reasonable rate for Apple to pay, considering that Samsung supplies Apple with close to a third of its total component and a considerable settlement for Samsung's use of Apple innovation. Moreover, the longer they spend fighting each other, the more contentious and uncooperative they are likely to become. The lesson that we have learned through the Apple and Samsung case is that when a business dispute arises, you should always do your best to negotiate or mediate a solution before taking it to the court. That's all from me. Thank you.